Dozens of officers were injured, but tonight we're hearing from 3 of them.
ABC 7's D.C. Bureau Chief Sam Ford now with the men and women who are the last line of defense between that violent mob and Congress, including the man who was nearly crushed to death in a video that was shared with millions of times all across the world.
We've seen the images. Now, acting D.C. Police Chief Robert Contee let 3 MPD officers who were there talk.
I was the one that was crushed in the door.
They have a heroic story.
It's the tunnel through which a president walks out for the inaugural ceremony. But January 6th, these 3 officers were there in the crush, fighting to keep out of that Capitol entrance rioters who police said had bear mace.
It's not only painful, but you literally can't open your eyes. And when you can't open your eyes and you're in the middle of what we would call a fight.
The struggle was sometimes in the cops' favor, sometimes in the rioters.
I guess I got pinned through the small back and forth we had, fighting for, every inch.
4th District Officer Hodges was trapped in the back and forth.
Thought, this might be it. I might die, and there's nothing I can do to defend myself at this point. So I just started screaming top of my lungs for them to give me a way out, give me a line or a retreat.
He said a rioter beat him with his own baton before other officers freed him. And when police managed to push rioters out, Officer Michael Fanone said they yanked him out with them, beating him, tasing him.
Because guys were grabbing gear off my vest, and they ripped my badge from me, and people were trying to grab my gun. I remember guys chanting, kill him with his own gun. I thought about killing people.
The Blue High grad said instead he told the rioters he had kids. Some shielded him until his partner, Officer Jimmy Albright, at the top of this picture, got him back in the tunnel. He suffered a mild heart attack, hospitalized 2 days. The other officers were not hospitalized. They said they were amazed that a lot of the rioters seemed to think the police were supposed to be helping the rioters.
USA! They would just walk right up and say, "We're here to arrest Congress," and then the police would say, "All right, let's go," and we'd all walk in hands and just do whatever they wanted. But that wasn't the case, and it will never be the case.
Reporting from the U.S. Capitol, I'm Sam Ford, ABC 7 News.
Now, you heard from Officer Daniel Hodges in Sam Ford's report there. Well, a 10-year-old girl in Montana wanted to send him a get well card after seeing the video of him getting crushed by the mob. Well, earlier this week, Heather Graff spoke with that girl who shared that letter with ABC 7, and she shared it with Hodges. Today, he wanted us to pass along his message.
She was a real sweetheart. I was really touched that she thought to write a letter to me, and I was so happy to read it and let her know that I was doing okay. And I think it meant a lot to everyone, all the officers who fought that day.
We're glad to see that Officer Hodges and all the other officers are doing well.
Now, security continues to tighten around Washington, D.C. ahead of Wednesday's inauguration. Fencing surrounds the Washington Monument and reflecting pool. Crews have also placed fencing around the Lincoln Memorial, the U.S. Capitol building, and the Supreme Court. Washington, not the only place locking down, as we know. The FBI also warning there are armed protests planned in all 50 states. Gail Thompson has the details of those protests.
Yeah, good morning to you, Jan. Law enforcement in every state on high alert this morning. Already, we have seen some state houses boarding up their windows and surrounded by extra security in anticipation of weekend riots ahead of the inauguration. These are scenes you just don't expect to see here in the U.S. Check out this video from our national desk partners at KUTV in Salt Lake City. The windows on the first floor of the Utah State Capitol boarded up. A state of emergency declared in Salt Lake with the state's governor worried about what he says is a planned siege. And this is what they are now doing at the state capitol in Wisconsin. Wooden sheets and metal braces going up in Madison. Officials there say more is being done inside, but they are keeping it confidential for security purposes. Jen, more video like this coming in from around the country. I'll show that to you here coming up.